So a while ago, I made a series on the Sei-Hook Wing Chun, the snake crane Wing Chun, and its history. And I also talked in some of the videos about the secret note, that the secret note is recorded by Lo Taiwan, this fine gentleman here, in 1890. And, you know, when I wrote the first edition of my book, I really was a little bit in doubt. And I went with the thesis in the end from, that lineage, too similar to the Yungesan lineage, it must be an offshoot, an offspring from it. And after discussing with some of my colleagues, I went that road. Then, finally, later on, I discovered the truth. Also after talking at length in Foshan with the people of the Intangible Cultural Heritage Protection Program of the Foshan Museum, like Chun Sutlin, the woman actually in charge at that time, she's retired now, of that part of the research. And yeah, I had no choice but to say, okay, I was wrong. That's why I made this video where I gave my excuse. Please watch it again. And I said, okay, I have to change my thesis. And it's actually the other way around.
之前咧，羅泰雲嗰代咧就係第三代，第二代同創拳嗰代咧，其實係中國即係喺南方係最動盪嘅時間，啲嘢就亂七八糟。你會睇到等陣又話呢個，等陣又嗰個又話呢個，好難睇啊！所以我最後咧即係做研究嗰陣時咧，我乜都唔睇，我睇我自己。一睇自己就清楚晒，就係咁。所以我嗰度又畫咗個表啦，就講我哋啦。其實咧，我呢度再講多少少啦，或者喺個表入邊咧，每一個階段咧，你會睇到班中詠春、易金詠春就喺第一行，梁贊咧就係由小年頭轉咗做蛇學拳嗰陣時，就係梁贊出現。跟住咧就第三個咧就開始去分拆蛇學拳嗰陣時，佢去分析啊，就係清遠嗰個蛇學詠春派。跟住咧第四個分拆咗斬咗件之後咧，就係散式嘅，就係張寶詠春。嗱，當我見到張寶詠春阿麥耀明師傅打嗰啲散式嗰陣時，我話：你知唔知我直情覺得，咦？點解佢會打我哋嗰啲功夫一模一樣，完全手勢啊啲咩一模一樣。嗱，跟住咧就再去咧就係落去咧就三套拳嘅蛇學詠春，同埋姚財啊，同埋係阮岐山嘅就係講緊呢嗱喺入邊咧，其實你可以睇到每一個今時今日嘅詠春拳咧，你會睇到好多品種。點解咁多品種咧？其實喺個表入邊咧，你就睇到其實係每一個階段嗰啲人帶走咗，就係嗰隻詠春啦。呢個
我贊同你嘅分析，因為我睇到你嘅文章之後咧，即係其實我之前都係有呢一種咁樣嘅講法，但係即係話唔係好似你咁即係咁樣嘅一種分析。
This was not easy to do, but we grow by learning from our mistakes. Now, what is important, however, very important, is if the current thesis is right, if the research team from the Foshan Museum is right, if other people interested in history, like Siu Wan or Wei Yong or Li, if they are right, if these people are right, if I'm right, then the secret note might be, or actually is, the most important historical document ever to surface on Wing Chun Kun's history. But, of course, not easy to admit by many, and it will change the course of a lot of Wing Chun lineages out there, and it will change their narrative of their history. So the issue here is that the truth might break somebody's rice bowl, and that's why for many that start to finally see that is the truth, they see it as a huge issue. And that's why a lot of propaganda, a lot of information was started up and spread against the secret note. But, you know, I don't want to talk about it too much anymore. But any logical thinking human being will understand that it's the truth and that the secret note does not come from the Kun of the Yun-Kei-san family, but that is actually the other way around, by just seeing the obvious. In a recent video, a so-called professor, expert was brought in, and he examined this Yun-Kei-san secret note, the Yun-Kei-san Kun-kut, and said, yeah, no, that one is more authentic and older. Did he not realize that this is full of simplified Chinese, not traditional Chinese, but simplified Chinese, which not came about till after 1963. So how can that Kun-kut be older than the one recorded by Lo Taiwan in 1890s? If that is full of simplified Chinese, absolutely, that document is not old. Even the Kun-kut that hangs on the wall in Leungjiang Sim School in Foshan has also simplified characters in it. Now, that basically should tell you all you need to know. If, and only if, you can accept what Jason is saying here.
Was in a 200-feet condo. How realistically you can think anyone of that in Hong Kong? You are in Hong Kong for over 10 years. How is the weather in Hong Kong?
Yeah, very hot and humid. Yeah.
Yeah. How realistic someone can turn on the air conditioner for 24 hours and pay the cost? Or how likely you can get a place to get the origin things from the 1800 to keep it safe for 100 years. Then I think by the time in the 1950s, the originally the wallpaper from I think it was on the skin of the ship, and it was a skin, and it is not a paper. It's not anything else. It was a skin of a ship. So they put it down on the skin, but but how likely do you think the thing will come off?
Yeah.
I think he was using some special ink to put on the skin of the ship.
Yes.
But then of course my uncle have to copy down, get someone else to copy down on a book, which now he still treasures the book very much. But then, of course, when people say that's a copy version, that's a copy version, because my uncle don't have a preface of keeping the original, the skin document in the very good condition. That's why I have my some of the Chinese painting from my grandfather time. But when I first moved into my house, I don't have the planning to keep some of the painting good. That's why now some of the things come off.
Yes, understand.
But then it happened to everybody. But then, of course, you we can only do the best to keep the original document alive.
So, as the lineage was part of secret society of a moon, remember, this was never a pie, an open family. It was a moon, a close family. He did not think any second about it to throw it away. This lineage was never meant to go public. That's the truth of the matter. So if you believe that part, then the museum in Foshan, again, the Intangible Cultural Heritage Protection Program of the Foshan Museum, the research team, accepted the rewritten, after examining it, after researching it, as an official document from the 1890s. Because of several reasons. They said how it rhymes, how all the poems rhyme is exactly in the style of the old days of that era. And if you compare it with the Yunkei Sankut, the Yunkei Sankut does not rhyme in the same way. So that's another way of seeing, hey, that one is more authentic, is more original. Then the Yunkei Sankut is missing a lot of stuff. I'm not talking about Lo Chi Wing notes that were added later on Tai Chi, etc. No, I'm meaning really the original part as recorded by Law Taiwan in 1890. That part, which was submitted to the museum and eventually accepted, that part has whole chapters in it that are missing in the Yunkei Sankut, having to do with, you could say, assassination, having to do with killing, how to take a life with the Tutmindo, the life-taking, the character to life-taking knives. And of course, we have the Nimtao song. We have the original Kun Kut of the Siu Nimtao that also the Yunkei San family does not have. But this is logic, because after the war was basically lost, and the people went back from all over China to their home villages to retire, to teach Kung Fu and stuff. This system was given to the Yun brothers. But this system was not. This was not anymore a system, a secret system used for assassinating Qing officers or whatever. Now it's just a Kung Fu system. So that whole assassination part, that whole, let's say, that whole triad part, that secret society part, that is not in their Kut. That is another proof that that Kut is older. Then there are small things, like the wording used in the Yunkei Sankut as lik for transmission of power, when we know older Kung Fu theoretical works, they all talk about Jin or Ging in Cantonese, because that is the special refined force. When I'm born, I already have lik, I have lik, but I don't have Ging. Ging is a special refined force that comes about by cultivation, by doing Kung Fu. So it's not something I just have. So that is another point. They talk about Xiu Ging in the secret note from Law Taiwan, whereas in the Yunkei San one, it's talk about Qiu Lik. But like this, there are many, many points. But just that the Yunkei San one uses the simplified characters should tell you all there is to know. Then they accused, this was made up by Lo Chi Wing. He just copied, he learned the Yunkei San lineage and he just copied it. No. Here is a piece of recording. Actually, it was recorded in secret by some gentleman. By some luck, it came into my possession. The universe obviously is helping me. And you hear here Lo Chi Wing clearly talking that the Nim Tao song was originally written by a monk. And then the conversation goes on, and he also states that the secret note has always been there in the past. So obviously he's saying, I didn't write it. It's always been there.
À最近咧，有個鬼佬咧就 Sergio 咧就講蛇學詠春，佢話我講蛇學詠春係啊，所以叫做話係翁國榮嘅徒弟啦，就其實唔係，咁就只係喺嗰邊咩啫。咁佢咧就依家話我哋個蛇學詠春咧就唔係花面咁嘅，係羅曼公嘅。羅曼公咧就係廣西嘅郭寶全個師傅嚟嘅，就蛇呢個老洪拳嚟嘅。咁啊，究竟羅曼公同羅梯雲有咩人
啦？我阿爺都唔係叫羅曼公。
咁佢話唔係喎，羅曼公教羅梯雲喎，佢講話唔係新錦喎。
都係羅村嘅人走出去。
唔係，係廣西嘅，呢個廣西完全唔拉楞嘅，根本就。
我唔知咁多嘢，即係以前教落，即係我哋知嘅缺係多，比其他嘅門派係多好多。
係
咁啫嘛。
呢個係事實嚟嘅。
老實講啊。教咗俾你都唔敢用，你敢唔敢用啊？
我禮拜六又去飲宴咧，搏擊聯盟嗰度飲宴咧，就人哋嗌咗我邊度小念頭標誌，我就話唔好啦，小念頭啦，咁啊，我好唔好練埋首詩出嚟咧？
梗係唔好練啦，依家差唔多個個識啦，
咁啊，咁
個個識，
啦，
依家一通晒天啦嗰啲。你估有咩秘密啫？
唔係，即係
嗱，核子彈都製咗出嚟。
即係我哋嘅有個真係好象形啊！白鶴嬉水，蛇歸洞飛輪九轉表掌通蛇學爭輝，朱敬融倒塞到學足三提逆四公，白鶴接翼登天際，蛇學能制逆中同，即係好押韻啊嘛！
即係有文化。
講
8句係嘛？
係啊，
好多詩㗎，係我哋嗰啲係最多詩。
先生嚟喎，
先生，
咁唔人哋傳落嚟係咁㗎嘛？以前好首，佢因為有首詩咧就話俾你聽嗱，你唔使喐㗎，你跟首詩你識打肚係嘛？你跟住首詩你就識打到。
事實上真係好押韻嘅，嗰首詩真係好押韻嘅，真係。
呢詩咧應該啲和尚諗出。
我估計係。
和尚得閒個頭。
唔係，我喺班中嗰陣時嗰啲師爺作出嚟嘅。嗱咁押韻嘅大佬做手唱大戲嗰人自然
作戲都作到出嚟啦。
一定作咗出嚟嗰啲。係啦，我估係呢個班中嗰啲人作出嚟嘅，嗰啲戲班師爺咧作咧。
葉問嗰條線來來去去咧就直衝啫嘛，第3句都冇嘅，其他條線都冇。
唔係啊，敵一而動，重心已空，橋興過手，橋中流中啊，遇曬長字無影破中啊，好多
用嘅一做小亂頭真係夠用。
好難啲人作出嚟嘅啫。
梗係唔係啦，我哋有個公韻嗰啲嘢㗎。
葉問嗰度啊，
葉問冇㗎喎。
唔係佢，因為近時好衰格嘅。入室弟子同埋咧開門弟子唔同啦。入室弟子即係話屌你兩間傳俾你當仔女咁傳啊嘛。你都普通嘅，你要教咁多嘢俾你咩啊？
唔好教啦，咁啊！
唔好教，近時好衰格㗎近時人。
但係而家傳下啲，
冇傳得出嚟
都知㗎啦嘛。
但係你用唔用得出嚟先啊？啱嘛？用唔到出嚟㗎。
咁而家有啲師兄都會過啲料俾我㗎啦，係咪啊？
過咩？
即係同師傅發誓啦，師傅我唔會過嘢俾人㗎。
指頭一滴血啦，對他人説啦。
普及化㗎啦嘛。
唔係嗱，即係你第3句已經敵一而動，對方一喐手打你嗰陣時，佢個重心係空咁嘛橋興過走，橋重流中，即係呢啲佢葉問係冇呢啲嘢㗎嘛咁啊各有個好處嘅，佢又簡單真係簡單。
你一首詩可以成套卷打晒出嚟啦，咁啊唔使你諗，一套卷真係夠用，啲小龍頭真係夠。
唔係喎，但係真係
一除打落一個白鶴汽水已經你冇啦，接晒你啲橋。 不論你掛錘、哨錘、直錘，我
都係講功底嘅啫。
一攞就已經攞
師傅講功底嘅。老實講啊，你功底唔得啊，人哋一打你啊，哎呀，
咪咯，
唔好打啦，唔好打啦，就哇你一打砰一聲，我已經飆出去啦，我啲飆出去打佢啦，砰一聲已經嗱呢個砰
都係要睇你有冇練功嘅。
唔係打得多你自己唔使教你自動反應，自動反應啊！
我淨係玩套路。
唔得嘅，
流於形式嘅啫。
一定要玩對練。
驚寫字寫幾兩冇用㗎，你識吟詩作對先啊，驚人哋驚你㗎嘛。
朝頭早食
Remember, this is secret recording. This is a casual conversation between these people during dim sum. They didn't even know this was recorded. So then you know Lord Chu Wing is telling the truth. And then you know that the one that's making countless of videos trying to discredit Sifu Wenyong, trying to discredit Sifu Lord Chi Wing and the snake crane lineage is just a sad individual who really does not know what he's talking about. Yeah, we always fight for the truth, and even in a minority of one, the truth is still the truth. And we are, since a long time, no longer in a minority of one. The secret note of Law Taiwan, as recorded in 1890, might well be the most important document on Wing Chun Kuen that's ever surfaced. So, another thing that was lingering on in my mind. You know, in the beginning, I really thought that from the heart they were believing in their thesis that the Yungei-san, Kunkut, etc. is older, and that Kunkut from the snake crane, from Law Taiwan, came from the Yungei-san one. That it was like made up, and that actually Lord Chi Wing wrote it. I could go with that because, as I explained in a previous video, which note they are comparing it to, because the one accepted by the Intangible Cultural Heritage Protection Program of the Fosha Museum, the one completely in traditional Chinese, this one with the blue cover, is not the same secret note as the one later with added drawings, Tai Chi Chuan stuff, and stuff from Lord Chi Wing, where he added notes. So yeah, of course, if they compare it to that version, they can come to those conclusions. But they have to compare it to the one accepted by the museum. That is the whole point. That piece is the only piece really recorded by Law Taiwan in 1890. But still, I thought, they really probably believe it. But after Hendrik Santo released his video recently, where he actually proves that even the professor, the saniologist they allegedly employed to look at the secret note, is actually not even an expert in Chinese language. He did not go through thousands of documents, etc.
Extensive search across web source, web academic database, and social media platform. I could not find any evidence of a Professor Ia who is sinologist Chinese affiliated in Shanghai University or any university in Shanghai. The query appeared to be searched for specific individual, but no matching profile. Publications or faculty listing exists in available record of September 30, 2025.
That made me a little bit wonder, like, okay, probably they just really do it to put Wayne and me in a bad light, and they just want to protect maybe their side of the story, maybe for business reasons or whatever, I don't know. My thesis is that Sangam and Law Mankun is actually the same person. Law Mankun taught Law Taiwan. Law Mankun taught Fok Bo Chun. Fok Bo Chun was also part of that, let's say, assassins team. Because from my point of view, if I look at the secret note, it's very clearly like some kind of document for a people, a special team to overthrow Qing and restore the Ming, a special department, maybe to kill some high-end officers or some special people. It is very clear, and that is another key point. If you have the Yunkei-san Kunkut, you put it next to the Kunkut as given to the museum and accepted by the museum. It is clear that all the secret society stuff, all the things that has to do with overthrowing a regime, with taking life, those things are not in the Yunkei-san. It's like it's taken away. Because logically, after wartime, why would you pass that on? So only a piece of the Kunkut was passed on by Fok Bo Chun to the Yun brothers. And that is clear as night and day. The question was always, where does their kut come from? Now I have the answer for myself, according to my own personal research. I found the answer. But if we don't take that into account, where does their kut come from? It hangs in the school of Leung Jan-sin. The professor, the so-called professor, has a kut there. But also those kuts are different. There's discrepancy there. It doesn't make any sense.
In this YouTube. Okay? And as I mentioned here, the sinologist is showing publicly the Yenkei-san note. I hope that this is, again, is legal. Now this is in public, this is public domain. Okay? Showing this. And then make a conclusion here that Yenkei-san not being older. Okay? So this is what the sinology show. Oh, this is the Yenkei-san. And then compare with, say, referring to Snake Crane Wing Chun note being written in more modern vernacular. The Yenkei-san is old. So is saying that the keynote being older. That's it. Okay, he said that. Guess what? I just explained to you guys just now. This is the verdict. Determine which source predates another has limit value without an examination of its content and historical content. The true nature of work lies not in its relative age, but in what it conveys and the circumstance of its creations. Simply establishing which text is older has limited interpretative value. To privilege chronological without examining content and historic content is to miss the essential of the material. A scholar who consistently relies on age alone demonstration a methodological weakness, and while still a sinologist by training, cannot be regarded as a reliable authority on this subject. By standard, academic standard, profession standard, this is what it is. So, the claim of a sinology is a trained the history, philosophy. This professor is incredibly experienced, carry out kinds of professor who spend decades analyzing hundreds of manual, and the testimony of it doesn't valid. This person, by again public domain, you release this to the public, it fall into this. A scholar who consistently rely on age alone demonstrate a methodology weakness, and while still a sinology by training cannot be regarded a reliable authority on the subject. So this do not valid. In the real world, professional world, even the sinology world. So as yesterday I shared with everybody, if you don't have the transmission, please don't act as an expert or try to be authority. You are not. You don't know what it is. You don't know how deep the water. So right now, from this thing, pointing out that you are not going to use this to research, pointing out that, come on, okay, this Jianghu Ren, it is not a secret society person, okay? And I pointed out that this person have no idea of this character, this language they used in the 1890s, that time for the the Westerner. And then our Chinese friend pointed out that they don't know about this gang stuff, this anti-Qing stuff. Okay, that's why I share with you here in detail. So why play all this expert here? Why play all this expert here? Making a conclusion to twisting things around. So this apply to this. So this apply to this. The Jianghu people can generally refer to those who compete for fame and fortune and engage in deceitful scheme in the workplace, politics, and entertainment cycle. Okay? So this is from China, the message from our China brothers. You need to know what is the bottom line. We cannot screw the Wing Chun culture, the Wing Chun inheritance. Just because somebody want authority, playing a coup, try to make all this trouble. And now we know who they are.
But anyway, this video, come on, this video should put to rest all the blabbering from the secret note, about the secret note. I will not make another video about this topic again. I mean, it proves that the opposition used fraudulent tactics to try to discredit me and Wayne, and not only that, to try to really ruin a piece of history, which might as well, as I said before, be one of the most important documents ever surfaced about Wing Chun in whole of Wing Chun's history.